Well, here I am once again on Stony Cross Airfield runway, and this time we are testing some LoRa units. I don't know whether you call it LoRa or LoRa, but anyway it stands for long range. I bought 4 of these LoRa modules from DORJI Applied Technologies. The model number is DRF1278DM. They operate in the 433 MHz band using the LoRa proprietary protocol modulation technique, and these ones came with helical normal mode aerials. There's the unit. This time I put it next to a bramble because I'm a bit worried about these ponies here, who probably will trample all over it if I'm not careful. And I've got the usual equipment, so we'll see how that goes. Well, I've got to the limit of LoRa's range here. It stopped receiving on sample message number 166. There's my equipment, and we'll see if I can show you where the transmitter is. The trouble is, of course, you can never see anything in these video cameras with no viewfinder. It's over there. We'll see how long it is when we get home. That's where I was walking, up there, and here's where the transmitter is, the white dot. You can see that it's slightly more obscured than my earlier tests because I deliberately put it next to some brambles in order to discourage the ponies from walking on it. But I don't think that's a problem for LoRa. I don't think it would make a big difference. Well, I walked away from the transmitter in a southwesterly direction until the first transmission error occurred, and that gave a range of 541 meters. I continued walking down to the bottom left-hand corner of this map, at which point LoRa was not receiving anything at all, and that was at a range of 948 meters. Well, this table summarizes the results I got on that LoRa test. 541 meters out, 408 meters coming back. This is using the default LoRa parameters for this card. I could have changed them, but any change would have resulted in a higher data rate and, in my view, likely a shorter range, so I left them at their default settings. One further thing that I haven't tried, which I could perhaps try, is to replace the helical antenna with the quarter wave whip that I used on the HC-12s, which might give a slightly increased LoRa range, and then we could then trade off that range against increasing the RF data rate to give a slightly higher throughput. So I've now tested 3 different radio links, each of which effectively acts as a replacement for a serial line. And what are my final conclusions? Remember, we're thinking of putting the transmitter at the top of this Snoopy robot boat in order to send back telemetry information during testing. I have no idea exactly how high the mast is of Snoopy, but I've assumed for test purposes it'll be 68 centimeters above the waterline. I started with the HC-12, which operates in the 433 MHz band, and came with a small helical aerial which I replaced with a quarter wave whip. And that gave a range of 103 meters. And then I tried the Laird RM024, which is a much more sophisticated device that frequency hops in the 2.4 GHz band and has provision for retries and error correction. And that gave a range of 176 meters. Finally, I tested these LoRa DRF1278 modules, which operate in the 433 MHz band but use a much more sophisticated kind of modulation technique than the HC-12s. And that gave a range of 542 meters, which is much better. But its data rate was only 537 bits per second, or actually, as I measured it, 325 bits per second, which corresponds to only 41 characters per second. So we'd have to put up with that low data rate if we use LoRa. You will note that all these ranges are significantly less than those claimed by the manufacturers of these products. But I should stress that these ranges are obtained when the antenna is only 68 centimeters above ground level. If you were able to put the antenna higher up or in free space, then much longer ranges might be obtained. My conclusion is that we should use the LoRa modules, strap the transmitter to the top of Snoopy's mast, and see what happens. Ideally, we should change the software to output the telemetry data in the most compact form that is possible, and expand it back to human readable form in a laptop shoreside. Thank you for watching.